Remember how I said in the last one where I was like, oh, no, it's no problem, you know, there's a bunch of meat in the freezer. Well, that venison all ended up being bad. I thought it was going to be good because the lot before it was good, but it ended up being bad. You know, it's just I've been lucky that I've been able to scrape by with stuff, and sometimes I've had less than others, but I've always been able to scrape by. But this year it's been with the supply chain issues, the rail strikes, and the just overall inflation. It's just created the perfect storm. If by miracle it gets to the shelf, you know, from the farm to a lorry to a distribution center to another lorry to the store without going bad, then it'll go bad on the shelf because nobody will buy it in time. Because if you don't depend on it for survival like I do, if you literally, your stomach literally cannot process or digest anything other than that, then you're going to go for the stuff that's not fresh produce. You're going to go for the stuff that's not, especially not meat. So the fact that, you know, that physiology has changed enough that I have to now eat primarily meat, and just, I mean, no more than probably 20, maybe 25% of the rest of my diet can be something other than meat, and I have to be really selective with what it is, because some things I can't even stomach at all that I used to be able to stomach just fine, bread being one of them. But you know, even a lot of vegetables, I can't stomach at all anymore, not even in small amounts. So it's really starting to, you know, settle in deeply. And I've just been at peace with it. But the problem is that most often than not, you're getting something, it's always rancid. So you're always having to spend way too much money to just to find something to eat that's not going to make you sick. That's not going to make you worse off than if you just didn't eat anything at all. So I'd say that even though with winter, the rest of it's getting better, because if it gets delayed on the lorry, at least it's going to stay cold. It's still hit to miss, because you don't know if people are going to buy it in time. You don't know if the day that you get there is going to be the day that, you know, it's something that's fresh enough. And you don't always know, because a lot of times places will sell by that's way too far in advance, and it goes bad an entire week before the sell by date. So you know, it's open it up, sniff it. That's about the only thing I can do. So I'm struggling with that a bit at times, but I'm getting by, you know. And really, no matter what it is, it's always seems to be, I find what I need. If I get to the point where I'm starting to get weakened and I'm losing hope, and I'm even maybe potentially feeling a little faint from lack of nutrients, you know, I keep, you know, in the past fretting about stuff, but it always just ended up working out. I always ended up at the very last minute finding something that I needed in time. And I'm very grateful for that. My guides and guardians, and just the universe itself, I think, is totems and everything that's kind of just trying to teach me and guide me along this path, because you know, it's something that I couldn't do alone, something that I couldn't, it's almost like trying to find a needle in a haystack. And so a lot of this, you kind of have to be guided to what even could potentially possibly have something fresh. Is not always a guarantee, but at least guided to a place that at least there's hope, you know. Because, you know, like I said in many other videos, I will starve before I hunt or butcher anything that is innocent. If you try your hand at hunting wildlife, most wildlife out there, most animals in general, they're all innocent. And so really I'd be out there forever. Because the wildlife, if you haven't noticed, wildlife is wild and it goes everywhere, and you can't just, you know, corral it into a pin. So, you know, you have to sit there, you wait, you know, it's just more waiting than anything else. And so really it's not ideal. So basically what I've got as a backup is poultry. The chickens don't really do much for my iron, but the quail, surprisingly, quail has, if you don't know, quail has a little survival tidbit, just as much iron as beef. So that does supply everything I need, and you can even, the bones are usually enough that if you cook them the right way, they're actually tender enough that you might actually be able to eat even the bones. Actually, I have a video on that. But anyway, going beyond that and into, I wouldn't even butcher anything unless I knew that it would be a threat to the flock. Like I said, something that's aggressive, something that I know is going to cause a problem. I can't even butcher anything else. So, you know, that I'm still working on, just step by step, day by day. And now that, you know, I've got pros and cons since I've done a lot of that mending and trying to make my soul one piece again. I don't fret about it like I used to. I just, whatever comes, comes, and I trust it. Which before I'd be, you know, fretting so much that you would wonder what's wrong with me. So that has changed. My overall outlook on how I see it has changed. But the downside of it is that had I do get one of these cravings, for the raw meat or blood cravings like I was talking about, and I don't have anything, then yes, that'll be a challenge. But again, I used to fret about that too, and that's a different thing than getting so deprived that you are, you know, feeling faint. I could get one of those cravings even on a full belly. Yeah, I really could. They're random, and a lot of times they just come out of nowhere. But I used to, you know, fret about that, and now it's just like, you know what, bring it on. If I go mad, I go mad. And it's not, I was just thinking, oh, it might be kind of fun. Might be kind of fun to go mad for a while. I mean, that's kind of mindset I'm in right now. I mean, because I trust that, you know, maybe won't be perfect. Maybe I will, you know, on occasion succumb to craving and want to, you know, bite down on my own flesh or something and draw blood. But it's not like I feel like I'm so out of control that I would do something stupid, you know. I used to fret, the cravings were so bad, I used to fret that when I was a child that I'd actually hurt somebody, you know. And now I just kind of enjoy going mad alone. Because I've had that control. I've got that control now, not to act on it, but you're still going mad inside your head, and you know. So anyway, I've had a lot of dreams lately and even things that I dreamt as a child that made absolutely no fucking sense, that have now come to pass, and it's kind of freaking me out. And that's the rest of what I'm going to talk about in this update. It's just, you know, I've always had some futuristic premonition type dreams. I've always had that, but when everything starts coming to pass all at the same time, and some of these dreams are years and years, maybe even decades old, some of them are a lot newer. There's one that I think was maybe a hair over maybe a month or so old, and that just every little tiny detail in the dream is step by step, hair by hair, becoming true. And in the dream, when I first had the dream, I just thought that it was, one of those random dreams that your brain thinks up. It didn't really feel like a premonition. It just felt like, here we go again. And now I realise it's another one of those things that I was dreaming about, that it's just like it's fate. You can't change it, no matter how hard you try. It's just something that you know is going to happen. Sometimes it's something good, sometimes it's something indifferent, sometimes it's something bad, sometimes it's something that seems bad but it's actually good. But whatever it is, I wonder why in some cases that I'm warned ahead of time. In this case, this most recent one, I think it was just something that I was warned of, to know that it was the right decision to make, because I was fighting against it. Every bone in my body didn't want to do it, and yet I realized that I had to. And it's not just dreams, it's me remembering that moment, that moment I was assigned this life. It's gone way beyond the past life regression thing where I was talking about before, where I accidentally stumbled upon that in-between moment, and really accidental is really no accident, but because that was fairly vague compared to all the really, really specific things that are happening now. It's so detailed, it's just stuff I couldn't make up. So that it's not a severe case of deja vu, because it goes way beyond anything you can make up. In fact, in some cases, it's the very last thing you'd make up. In a lot of cases, it's the very last thing you'd make up. So I got another couple of those today, and it's every little piece of it you're weaving together to create something, to create a full picture. These usually end up tying to the message of, yes, this is real, and yes, this is what I'm meant to do, and that it is possible, and that this is also just kind of in general telling me who I am and what I am, and reminding me of my own abilities and where they start and stop, because I definitely don't know where they start. I know in general what my abilities are, but I just don't know the capability of those abilities. See what I'm saying? For a long time, I had a broken, shattered soul, and it was all literally, a lot of pieces of me was shattered out in limbo. And now that I've gotten that all together, maybe I'm still a little rough around the edges, yeah, but at least it's one piece now. And I'm feeling a lot more emotion. I talked about that. Just a lot of everything. But it all started roughly around the time that happened. All of this exploded, it volcanoed right around that time. And I don't think that's on accident. I think that, it's saying, okay, well, now you're ready to hear this, now you're ready to remember this. And there's certain things that, for me, and what I would have to face, and because of the way that modern society shuns and makes you, they won't even hear it, even modern paganism will call it insane, or at least impossible. A lot of these things that I'm faced with, is what most people call impossible. And so I have to be shown signs in a way that I know that I couldn't make them up in my own mind. Something too specific and too odd for me to know it could have come from my own mind. And this is time and time again breaking down that barrier of society, what society teaches you to believe in and not believe in. And furthermore, allow me to understand myself and to find out who I really am.